Hello there, and thank you so much for joining us today right here on CAC TV. My name is Faith Kaulu, and this is Transforming Families. Always an honor to have you on board, because each time we're here, this means that it is yet another opportunity for our families to be transformed and strengthened. And what a joy that is. With me today is Professor Catherine Gashudha, who is a counseling psychologist, as well as the director of Kenya Institute of Business and Counseling Studies. Thank you so much, Prof, for being here today.
Thank you so much, Faith. I am happy to be here. And like a time like this, when campaigns have gotten a notch higher, we need stable families.
Indeed,
and whatever we do contributes a lot to getting the families to think through their own experiences and to stabilize them by things that they do.
Wow, that's for sure, Prof. And you know, you've mentioned that campaigns are ongoing, and you know, something that happens during this time is people travel a lot here and there, and that could cause issues of mistrust in the family, you know, because then where have you been all this while? Or if the wife is at home, is thinking, is my husband, you know, sleeping alone and all that. And that is in relation to what we are talking about today, because on the episode today, we want to focus on infidelity. We want to understand what is this and how to go about it, and how to avoid it as well, because we are here to talk about, you know, transforming our families for the better. And that is why we bring this topic on board today. So stay with us till the end. In case you're watching on our online platform, Facebook and YouTube, share this link with as many people as possible, so that they may also get to hear the wisdom that is going to be on today's program. Now, Prof, before we dive right into infidelity and, you know, all the pain and hurt it causes, let's define the term infidelity.
When we talk about infidelity, we talk about unfaithfulness of a partner.
Okay.
Unfaithfulness of a person who is married, or unfaithfulness of a partner within a romantic relationship. Because then there is commitment. There is a contract that you have read to each other, and this is a contract that is getting broken, because now the relationship is not exclusive. It is inclusive. It is including others who are supposed to be excluded in this relationship. But when we talk about infidelity, it is more sexual in nature. It's about the activities that one will do that are touching on someone feeling, how would you have done that? How would you have kissed? How would you have written those messages? How would you have had coitus with another person? When we are within a marriage relationship, when we have contracted that we are going to be in a relationship, there is going to be a serious, committed relationship.
There's so many things you've mentioned that I feel like it's important for us to, you know, dig deeper. But we'll start with you mentioning that unfaithfulness of a partner, whether in a marriage or a sexual or rather romantic relationship, because then you have committed yourself to each other. And then here comes the question, because a lot of times people are manipulated by partners who are either, how can I put it, sick mentally, or just controlling, and say, you know, we are dating, we're not yet married. Once I say I do, then I'll be faithful. But right now, I can't help it, honey. I see someone I like, but at the end of the day, it is you I'll marry. You know, talk about that in a romantic relationship before marriage. Is this then danger? Because when they say, I'll be faithful when we get married, does it mean they'll stick to that, or don't believe it?
You know, when we talk about lead signals, or those indicators that show you that in future this relationship is going to be in danger. Because if someone is not going to add some relationships before marriage, so that you can now concentrate with one single relationship that you'd want to feed, that you'd want to nurture, that you'd want to grow, that you'd want to develop, then this relationship really that you're taking into a marriage relationship is not strong enough and it's not holding enough to be taken to a marriage relationship. And therefore, when someone is saying, I have the freedom because we are not married, but as long as it is during the period, now you're not dating. If you're talking about that when you're dating, because again, now we are talking about people's values, people's beliefs, people's disciplines. If you're talking like that during dating, it can be understood. Okay. But when you talk like that during the courtship, when you have committed yourself that now you're going to leave all others and you're going to concentrate with this one individual that you can get into a marriage relationship to, then this communicates that you're not serious, you're not committed, you even don't want to get into a marriage relationship.
Okay. Wow. So then that is, you've called them red flags, a red sign, danger.
Yeah, they are indeed. Because, you know, it can be indiscipline on one's part.
Yeah.
It can be even sickness, just like you said there before. It can even be sickness that one is not able to control what they are thinking and their hormonal imbalances. And therefore they can get into a situation that is going to compromise their own values and their own beliefs, and even compromise what they would want to create in their own lives. A marriage or a relationship that is sustainable and that is feeding back to them.
And just a disclaimer, I want to put across is that I know it's an all-female panel tonight, but when we talk about infidelity, we are talking about it cutting across both genders, male, female, because then everyone at some point becomes unfaithful if they make that decision. You know, we don't want to say it is only men who cheat. We know that we have cases where women have cheated on their spouses. So we are talking about this as an issue that affects or cuts across both genders. And Prof, initially when we started, when you were defining infidelity, you mentioned that, you know, a partner could be hurt by seeing a text message and they're like, how could you talk in such a way with this other person, you know? And then that brings us to the point of, does it have to get to the sexual point, you know, where then you have intimacy with another person, or it could be just the thought of it, just flirting with someone, we could call that cheating?
Right. Allow me to touch on the disclaimer first, and then I come to that.
Okay.
Because when we look at studies, faith, regarding unfaithfulness, infidelity, they show that both men and women will have infidelity. And like a general social survey that was done in 2018 here in our country, it showed that 13% of the women within marriage and 20% of men within marriage had cheated, the ones that were in that particular survey. But again, even when we look at the global perspective now, like American Association of Marriage and Family Therapy survey, the results were 45% of the men had cheated and 35% of the women had cheated. And therefore we can see the margins. The men cheat much more than the women according to the surveys that are carried out. But yes, both genders, they cheat. Okay. Right. On the second question, on can you repeat it again so that I can plug in again?
That's okay. So the second question was, does cheating have to be a partner having a sexual encounter with someone else? Or when you find a flirty message, text message, then we could define that as cheating as well?
Oh yeah. Cheating can be in many forms. And we can talk about two key ones. Okay. And that is emotional cheating. Yeah, emotional unfaithfulness. And we are not able to differentiate the thinking of it and the feeling of it, because both of them are so intertwined with each other. When one is feeling about it, one is thinking about it, obviously.
Yeah.
And these are the people who will do the writing of the messages and sending to each other, or they will say things, they frat because they are thinking, they are not actualizing really.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the thinking and the feeling about it, they may even have been imagining the whole process of having sex with a particular person, but they have never done it physically.
Okay.
That's a level of cheating. And you know, even like when partners are talking about it and someone will say, I have never had a penetration, or I have never had a kiss, or I have never been touched, I have never allowed anyone to touch me inappropriately. But that's not what we are saying. We are saying from the moment of considering, from the moment of feeling very, very strongly that you'd want to have a relationship with another person, that indeed can be categorized as being as cheating or being unfaithful, because Lily, you have departed from where you have contracted that you'd want to stay. Now the other one is coitus, that indeed you have had a physical relationship with another who is not the person that you have married or the person that you have contracted with, and therefore this indeed is infidelity. This indeed in some quarters is adultery. This indeed is a betrayal of the partner.
Yeah. So one is not better, or they should not think that they are doing right just because they have not actualized, you know, their emotions or their thoughts. Yeah, because then I'm believing if I'm only chatting, flirting with this dude and who is not my husband, I'm better because I haven't gone to an extent of actualizing it and getting physical. But that is not the case, because either way, that is being unfaithful.
On a scale of unfaithfulness, on a scale of unfaithfulness, we can say there is that one who goes up the scale in terms of, if the scale is starting from 0 up to 10, you are at 10 or you are at 9 or 8. But there is one who is at 4. What are you doing when you are at 4? You are considering, you are thinking, you are feeling, you are doing certain things. You may not be doing those things in terms of like you're together and you are caressing and you have done the coitus, that is at 8, 9 and 10, but there are certain things that you're doing and certain thought processes and certain emotional processes, and you know they stimulate the body. And people will have an excitation. And people are even going to have an orgasm because of that. So you have done it. It is a whole process. Though you're not connected with another.
I like how you've put it on a scale. You know, now we can clearly say, because you're at 4 now, but you're headed towards 10.
Oh, yes.
Yes. And if you do nothing about it, you'll get there. So let's talk about how then do these have different effects? Or if I'm at a 4, let's say I'm flirting, I'm thinking about it, I'm feeling all this excitement towards this person who's not my partner, does it have the same effect on my marriage or on my relationship, even though I'm playing it safe because I'm at 4?
Yeah. This now I am going to look at it from a therapist's point of view, because people are very different. A person may have only considered the emotional infidelity, but the person is feeling so guilty, you even get a depression, that you cannot handle it, that you have not kept to your values, you have not kept to your beliefs, and so because of this, you are sliding into a depression, you are sliding into a mental health condition. Now, when we look at people in that way, then we know that people are going to be impacted by what they have done very differently. There is a person who may have gone all the way to doing all the things, thinking, emotional infidelity, and now you have the physical infidelity. But the person is not feeling guilty. They don't have a conscience. They don't even feel that they have done wrong. Even when they are asked by the partner, you have done all those things to me.
Yeah.
And the person is saying, what have I done to you? What have I done to you?
Yeah.
And such a person may be a person who was sexually molested when they were small. If they were taken advantage of, they don't see, they don't feel, because they were not able to process their own emotions when they were young, when that happened to them. And therefore, even now, they are not able to come into touch with their own emotions so that they can be able to tell the intensity of what they have taken themselves through or what they have gone through. So if you have had other injuries to do with sex, the magnitude may seem less, but it is seeming less because the trauma has never been processed.
All right.
But many people will be very guilty. And sometimes women feel, you know, this is kawaida for men.
Yeah.
They will go out there and have extramarital relationships, and that is okay for them. But studies again tell us that 68 of men will feel guilty. Yeah, that what they have done is not light according to the commitment that they wanted to give to their marriage union. And this guilt is going to come out in someone not wanting to have sex with the wife, or someone not wanting to converse over very intimate matters, or someone not wanting to be at home. You can't handle it. That guilt, that feeling, I betrayed my wife, I betrayed my children. Because betrayal does not only touch the partner, but betrayal will touch on all that is, which is significant to you. Are children significant to you? They are going to be touched by the same. Is your own personal dignity important to you? You will feel guilty in relationship to yourself, because you have a self to protect and you have a self to make sure that you are guarding with all you have.
Wow. There's something you've mentioned that I'm just like, wow, that betrayal will affect everything that is significant to you, including your children, your dignity, you know, something I think people don't think about. I want to say people who cheat don't really think about such things, you know, because you think, I'll play it safe, no one will find out, or you think it will only affect the relationship you have with your partner, but then that trickles down to your kids as well. And Prof, you've mentioned something about, you know, someone who's being unfaithful and not feeling remorse or not feeling guilt, then that has something to do with their past experience, a sexual encounter that hurt them or that left them traumatized, meaning that there's something they have to deal with. They need to seek help. In such an instance, then does this mean that, you know, the partner who's been cheated on needs to seek help for their partner who's just cheated on them, or first of all they need to seek help for themselves?
Both can happen, that or threesome, because we are saying the person cheated need to seek therapy because they are hurt, they are injured, they have been betrayed, they are feeling their privacy has been taken out there. And for the person who has cheated, is feeling guilty, is feeling remorse or no remorse, and therefore even them, they need to go for therapy. But again, both of them need to heal. They need to repair their relationships. First of all, you need to repair yourself before you repair the relationship. Because you see, if you're still feeling injured, if you're feeling, I am wounded, I don't know how to speak about this, I don't know how to understand it, because it's quite a loss. Being cheated is quite a loss. And as therapists, when we are working with people, you see even after 1 year, the person has not healed.
Okay.
Even after 2 years, the person has not healed. And you have to be very intentional in working on it so that you can be able to overcome that. And most separations and divorces come from infidelity. That people are not able to go past the injuries and past the woundedness. They are still stuck there without moving anywhere. Even after attending therapy for some of them, they're not able to see the light of the day in terms of being able to say, you know what, I want to forgive. And you know what, I am not the one who was unfaithful. And even if I am the one who was unfaithful, I can forgive me so that I can also seek forgiveness from another and forgiveness from God, so that now we can start repairing our relationship so that we can be in tune with each other. Yes, that woundedness is very deep. And again, when we look at what was the intention, what caused the unfaithfulness? Was it accidental that you found yourself getting sexually excited and you're so overwhelmed by the sexual excitation, you just found yourself completing the whole process? Or you went drinking somewhere, and in the spur of the moment, when you are not yourself because you are intoxicated, then you found yourself doing the unthinkable for you. That we can say is very accidental. And you can say, I didn't mean to do it. I never thought about it. I never planned about it. I just found myself caught up in the whole situation. You know, when you're talking about levels of guilt and levels of woundedness, that is a person who will say, I know I don't want ever to repeat again. And I regret the situations that I had put myself into that added into this kind of a nightmare. And therefore, I know that it is not like I am a cheating party, but it is that I put myself in very compromising situations that I'm telling myself, never again will I put myself in such kind of compromising situations. But again, there is a person who is sexually addicted. And those are the people we are saying, they may have had past experiences of being told you are a sexual object and whatever. Because it can be about verbal or it can be about physical, where a person was sexually molested and therefore they see themselves as objects and they objectify themselves when it comes to sex. It is not something that they see as pure and something that they see they have to go with their values to that sexual experience, but it's something that they tell themselves we have to do and walk away. Because that is the way it happened the first time. So that may be a person who is sexually addicted to those other persons. And for them, they are not human beings, they are just objects that are making them to fulfill their sexual desires. But there is a person who can go out there to experiment.
Yeah, that's true.
And in midlife crisis, we find people saying, you know, I have been with one person for a long time. I want to experience another person.
Yeah.
You know, this is a person who is trying to be adventuresome when it comes to sex. Or you've been denied sex for so long. No, you're telling yourself, I have to go and look for sex now. This is a person who can justify himself or herself and say, you know, I'm so denied. I simply needed to go and look for it out there. That may not be the truth or the fact, because telling yourself, I had to do it is your own subjective understanding of the whole situation. There are other people who are denied, they haven't done that, but they are committed to working on their marriage relationship so that they don't betray themselves and betray others that are very innocent. Because even when you go to counsel your children regarding sex, you feel you don't have the legitimate, you know, right to actually tell your children they can't, because you know what you do. You know what you do during your private times, so that your parenting is getting affected by your infidelity.
Wow. There's something you've mentioned about, people just wanting to experiment, and then we have those who, because are denied at home. And when it comes to those who are denied at home, I like that you mentioned that we have others who are denied, but they don't go cheating. They don't go seeking out other avenues, or finding satisfaction. But now in such a case, looking at this, we could say as a therapist as well, when such a couple comes to you for therapy, could you say then this partner who went out to seek for satisfaction elsewhere is just justified, and this other partner did wrong, by withholding intimacy from their partner?
Longness and lightness is not anything that we like considering as the therapists, because people are coming from their own experiences and their own understanding and their own deficiencies and their own resourcefulness or having knowledge regarding sex. You may have come from a school of thought of, when you're having periods, you don't go there. You don't even think about it. When you're pregnant, you don't think about it. And when you're old, when you're from 55 years old, you don't think about it completely. That is not somewhere you go. Let the children go. Let the young go. But for you, where are you going? Where are you going with your age? What are the kind of things that you're trying to do? After all, even the orientation towards sex is that it's something naughty, it is something bad. So when we put lightness and longness for this kind of a person who needs to correct their beliefs, then we can be.
Hii idea ilikuja ukiwa third year in school, in college?
Actually, nilikuwa natafuta multiple income streams, maybe to so that I could survive comfortably in school. So we do house cleaning, which is deep house cleaning, where we clean every space in the house. Post-construction cleaning, where we manage the cleaning after the construction is over. We clean all the mess,